Danielle Harper sat in first class, the embodiment of modern elegance and power. As the CEO of Harper Nova Technologies, she was no stranger to the quiet scrutiny that often accompanied Black excellence in elite spaces. With a tailored navy suit that hugged her statuesque figure and a designer handbag resting neatly above her seat, Danielle exuded confidence. She had pre-ordered her usual lobster bisque and prime steak, paired with a vintage red. It was her ritual, a small luxury she allowed herself before sealing yet another international tech deal. Everything was supposed to go as planned, but when the flight attendant returned with an empty expression and a tray that held nothing more than a cold sandwich and a glass of water, Danielle's instincts kicked in. The woman's name tag read Whitmore. Her smile was stiff, rehearsed, her tone devoid of sincerity. "We've run out of the pre-ordered meals, ma'am," she said, handing over the tray with a shrug. Danielle didn't respond immediately. She looked at the tray, then at the wine being poured 2 seats behind her for a trio of white businessmen laughing about the Asian market. The contrast was unmistakable. Lobster and champagne for them, bread and water for her. It wasn't about food anymore. It never really had been. She was the only Black woman in the cabin. She could feel it in the way no one met her eyes, the way no one addressed her by name, the way the staff floated past her as though she were invisible. But Danielle Harper had built an empire in a world that had not been designed for her success. She wasn't about to let a tray define her status or her silence. The flight was bound for Geneva, where Danielle would finalize a game-changing merger between her company and a leading European cybersecurity firm. It was more than business, it was legacy. Her legacy. And it was why she would not allow even this seemingly small act of prejudice to slip by unchecked. Danielle calmly placed the untouched tray aside and opened her tablet. With just a few taps, she accessed the internal employee profiles through a private aviation partnership interface. Rebecca and Whitmore, senior crew member. Past complaints. 2 filed reports of discriminatory treatment. 1 internal memo suggesting selective service. Nothing was ever pursued further. She sent a message to her executive assistant, Maya Lewis. Initiate audit protocol. Flight 228. Crew ID RW 3487. Confirm within 10. There was no need for further elaboration. Maya would understand the gravity of her request. Across the ocean in Manhattan, Maya received the encrypted message and acted immediately. With sharp eyes behind her glasses and code moving swiftly across her screen, she accessed real-time aviation data. Within minutes, Maya compiled a report that showed patterns, racial bias not in overt words, but in action. Slower response times, missed call buttons, selective service, familiar and damning. Back in seat 1A, Danielle waited. Not for food, but for the moment the system would begin to crack. She remembered the early days, being asked if she was the assistant when she walked into boardrooms, being told to wait outside while her white male intern was invited in, being mistaken for support staff, even as she carried patents that would revolutionize encryption. And yet, she had persevered. She had claimed her space at the top with intelligence, composure, and undeniable results. Today, she wouldn't scream or demand. She would let the evidence speak, as it always did. Another attendant, Mark Klein, approached to offer dessert to the men in seats 1B, 1C, and 1D, each one addressed by name. No one looked at Danielle. She called out, "Excuse me, Mr. Klein, could you clarify something for me?" He turned, slightly startled. "Yes, Ms. Harper. If pre-ordered meals are guaranteed for Diamond Elite members, and I've been one for 8 years, why was I not served mine?" Mark hesitated. It may have been a logistical error. Sometimes the crew prioritizes based on what? She asked, voice still calm. Because I ordered 7 days ago. I received confirmation, and I was first to board. He didn't respond. Danielle nodded, her gaze unwavering. That's what I thought. The audit confirmation buzzed on her watch. Maya had finished the report. Within minutes, it was sent to the CEO of Aerolux Airlines. copied to legal advisors and internal ethics compliance officers. Danielle didn't need to argue. She had receipts to be why the time the plane touched down in Geneva, the HR team and legal affairs department were already assembled at the gate. The crew was instructed to exit through a different door and report to immediate debriefing. Danielle exited through the front, escorted by a European regional director and a legal officer who tried to apologize. She merely said, "No need. This is just the beginning." Becky Whitmore, unaware of the storm behind her, exited the aircraft expecting to check into her usual hotel and move on. Instead, she was stopped at the crew gate and informed she was to attend a mandatory investigation session under global service ethics codes. Her face paled. Daniel Klein stood beside her, also summoned. Behind closed doors, each was shown footage, timing logs, and reports. Every detail of their biased service behavior displayed in data and video. Becky tried to justify her actions, but every word fell flat. She didn't yell. She didn't insult. But she had categorized Danielle as less important. And the cameras caught it all. News broke within 24 hours. Black CEO denied Meal Sparks industry reckoning. Luxury airline exposed for systemic bias. Seat 1A. The revolution no one saw coming. The hashtag Seat 1A began trending worldwide. People shared their own stories of microaggressions in luxury spaces, inspired by Danielle's quiet stand. It was never about shouting. It was about truth. Stripped of her service pin and placed under review, Becky Whitmore's career was now a symbol of everything Danielle had fought against. And Danielle? She declined interviews, turned down speaking engagements, and chose instead to mentor young professionals of color entering elite industries. That a month later, at a global leadership forum, Aerolux unveiled its new equity and inclusion program. Danielle Harper was named the program's chief cultural advisor. She addressed the crowd in a soft voice, firm in resolve. "I'm not here to punish. I'm here to prevent. Because no one should have to prove they belong in a seat they've already earned." From then on, every time Danielle boarded a flight, she noticed small changes. Attendants who spoke all names with equal respect. Menus without assumptions. Eyes that met hers not with question, but with recognition. In the fall, as she boarded a flight to South Africa, a small plaque on Seat 1A read, "Reserved, Seat of Change." We remember. Danielle didn't need to say anything. She simply sat down, buckled in, and looked out at the open sky. Because for the first time in a long while, it truly felt like there was space for her. Not just in Seat 1A, but in the world she was helping reshape. And from that seat, quiet and dignified, she did what no outburst ever could. She made the system listen.